This is a true story, and I know it's true because it happened to me. In my family, we have lots and lots of fiestas, but my favorite fiestas were the tamaladas, the tamale parties, when we'd come together to make tamales, and we were going to my Aunt Celia's for tamalada. And when we got there, for some reason, my Aunt Celia was washing clothes. So my aunts and my uncles and my mother and my father, they went back with her because she was hanging up clothes, and we were in the kitchen with a washing machine. It was one of those old washing machines that had water on the bottom that went chogo, chogo, chogo. It had a rod and two rollers, and you could put the wet clothes through the rollers. I've seen huge blankets go through those rollers and come out on the other side as flat as a tortilla. Well, we were in the kitchen talking about dumb things people did. It was our favorite thing to talk about. And I said, well, I think the dumbest thing that anybody could do would be to put their hand on the washing machine. I was looking at it the other way, and I went to put my hand on top of the machine, and I felt a strange squeezing sensation on my fingers. When I turned, I saw my fingers were caught in the roller. Everybody started running around, and I was jumping up and down saying, mi mano, my hand. And my cousin was trying to figure out how to get it open, and I was screaming, mi mano. And she said, cállate, be quiet, I can't think. I did my first joint, my second joint, and went over my nudillos. She didn't know what to do. She did the only thing she could think of to do. She pulled the plug and the machine stopped. Except my hand was still stuck in it. She ran and got my mother and my father and my aunts and my uncles, and they're all trying to get in at the same time. You know how grown-ups are. Oh, Vicar, stop, let me see what's going on. Let me in here. My Aunt Celia opened up the machine, and my hand was a mess. And my father was the kind of person that when something happened to one of his kids, he got excited. He was running around saying, ay, mira mi mija, ay, chihuahua. My Uncle Joe said, cálmate, calm yourself. La llevamos al hospital, we'll take her to the hospital. So we get in the car. My father's driving, I'm in the middle, my Uncle Joe's on the other side. And I'm just sitting there staring at my hand. It's looking worse and worse all the time. And then my uncle leans forward and he says, Olga, ¿sabes cuando llegamos al hospital que tendrán agujas de 5 pulgadas? Do you know that when we get to the hospital, they're going to have needles 5 inches long? Daddy, my hand doesn't hurt me anymore. Why don't we just go home? My father leaned over and he looked at my Uncle Joe and he said, Estate quieto, Jose. Be still, Joe. And my Uncle Joe, he was quiet for a while. He leaned forward and he said, Olga, ¿sabes cuando llegamos al hospital que te darán inyecciones en tu mano, en tu brazo y tu hombro? Do you know that when we get to the hospital, they're going to give you shots in your hands and your arm and your shoulder? I was beginning to get excited. I said, Daddy, why don't we just go home and I'll put my hand in ice for the rest of my life, okay, Daddy? My father leaned over and he said, and my Uncle Joe, he was quiet for a while. He leaned forward and he said, Olga, ¿sabes cuando llegamos al hospital, si tu mano está quebrada, la van a quebrar otra vez? Do you know that when we get to the hospital, if your hand is broken, they're going to break it again? I was hysterical, and my father was so mad. His face was completely red, and there was this vein on his forehead that was going ta-dunk, 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 ta-dunk. And suddenly he went, and he stopped us and get out, Joe. And my Uncle Joe said, oh, but we're far away from everything. I don't care. Either you keep your mouth shut or you're walking. My Uncle Joe didn't say another word. And when we got to the hospital, we found out that I had broken all of my nudillos. But you know what? It wasn't that bad. The needles were only 2 inches long. They only gave me 2 shots, and they didn't even re-break my hand. My Uncle Joe had done me a favor. He'd made the hospital sound so bad, the hospital couldn't live up to it. And I had this perfect plaster of Paris cast hand. I was 9 years old when this happened, and when I was 9, my favorite sport in all the world was tetherball. You know, the rope and the ball and the rope and the pelota, and I would lean back with my hard hand. I hit that ball and that ball right around that pole. Nobody could beat me, not even the 8th graders. So out of a horrible thing happening, having all of my knuckles broken, a wonderful thing happened. I was tetherball champion. Yeah.